In the last week's presentation, we reviewed the process of conducting research and started the very first step, which is identifying a research topic, problem, purpose, and question. Now, we will move on to the second step of research process, which is reviewing the literature. Prior to strategizing for your literature review, I would like to give you a brief introduction to the role of theory in research. Let's start with the definition of theory. Theory is an explanation or explanatory system that discusses how a phenomenon operates and why the phenomenon operates as it does. So simply put, theory provides a framework as we explain things. Depending on the focus of a theory, we can classify theories into different types. Grand theory deals with the universal aspects of social processes or problems and is based on abstract ideas and concepts rather than on case-specific evidence. For example, conflict theory claims that society is in a state of perpetual conflict and competition for limited resources. So, as the description sounds, this theory explains that schools train those in the working classes to accept their position as a lower class member of society. So if we apply this theory to explain why low income minority students are not represented at four-year universities, the explanation will focus on the concept of social reproduction and the role of education in this process. So again, it focuses on very abstract ideas and concepts rather than particular case or specific evidence. Middle-range theories are theories derived from specific scientific findings and focuses on the interrelation of two or more concepts applied to a very specific social process or problem. A good example would be Tinker's student departure theory. This theory is developed in the context of higher education, synthesizing multiple theories that address social and psychological factors at both individual and institutional levels. We can also classify theories based on the level that a theory explains. First, macro theory covers larger social systems such as state, country, or even the world. Meanwhile, when theories are used to study small groups or individuals, say a couple, family, or team, they are referred to as being micro theories. Meso theory refers to the middle range between the two. Let's assume that we will explain why minority students drop out from four-year colleges. The conflict theory, as we already kind of, viewed, would find the reason from the social system in which education serves as a mechanism of reproducing the class. So this is a macro theory. On the other hand, the symbolic interaction theory explains that faculty has and indicates lower expectations for minority students. And this interaction would influence minority students' performance, perceptions, and attitudes. So this theory focuses on individual interactions and therefore serves a micro theory. As I mentioned, Tinto's model of student departure explains dropout decision based on not only individual level factors, but also institutional level factors. So it is an example of a meso theory that kind of marinates the two levels. So as you already noticed from the examples, theory provides framework to understand the phenomena we study, often behaviors or decisions of individuals and organizations. Another importance of the theory comes from the fact that theory can guide the design of the research. Two concepts are related to this. One is construct and the other is variable. Construct is the concepts that we will employ to explain different components of the theories. Construct is abstraction of ideas, people, organizations, events, objects, and things that we are interested in. Once we identify the construct, we can decide variables to operationalize the constructs with measurable attributes. For example, let's say our research question is, how does differential tuition impact students' retention and graduation? To come up with hypothetical explanation, we may employ Austin's input environment output model of college effects. The theory basically says that individuals' input as well as environment determines outcomes. Applying this theory to our research question, we can identify the construct. In our study, the input factors are students' background characteristics, and the environment that we are interested in is institutional or program tuition policies. And output we look at is academic achievement. Still, these constructs are abstract, right? Now, to operationalize these concepts, to collect data and analyze those data in our research, we have to come up with variables. Based on our constructs, we identified variables for its concepts. So students' characteristics can include race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and first-generation status of individual students. Institutional or program level tuition policy can be operationalized as A, if the program has differential tuition, and B, how much the differential amount is. Finally, academic achievement in this study can be measured by retention and graduation. And as we discussed in previous week, quantitative research and qualitative research use theory very differently. First, in a quantitative research, theory is something that is tested. So based on theory, researchers will come up with hypotheses or propositions that describe how constructs are related. Let's apply this to our example study, the effect of differential tuition on students' choice of major, retention, and graduation. Remember this? The human capital theory explains that when price goes up, demand goes down. If we apply this simple theory to the study, we will hypothesize that tuition increase in certain programs or majors will lead to a decrease in enrollment or retention and graduation outcomes in those programs and majors. So the construct will be differential tuition, enrollment, and retention and graduation outcomes. We can operationalize those concepts with the variables including if program charges differential tuition and how much those additional tuition is. And we can measure if a student declares a major in the programs with differential tuition and retention, stop out, drop out, graduation, degree attainment, and time to degree as other variables. In qualitative research, there is something that is generated from the observation and interpretation of individual cases. So if we study the same problem from a qualitative perspective, we would pursue research questions that focuses on students' perception on the policy and their relevant experiences. Let's assume that we collected data by interviewing students who are in the programs that charge differential tuition. Then we will come up with some distinctive patterns from the data, and based on the patterns, we will create a tentative hypothesis that an increase in sticker price functioned as a negative signal to students about the support and affordability, even though the financial burden has not increased. And those can lead to lower enrollment in lucrative majors, increased anxiety to finish the degree on time, and pressure to work while they're in college. So here's another example from actual research studies that are published. So one of my research interests is college rankings, as you already noticed. I identified a research problem based on the concerns of higher education administrators and researchers that institutions strive to improve rankings, which resulted in the move of resources to ranking-related factors that are not necessarily related to educational activities. Also, based on the literature review, I learned that there is not much empirical evidence exists on this argument. Therefore, I came up with a research question to guide my study. That is, how does US News and World Report rankings affect institutional expenditures at four-year institutions? So hopefully, as you noticed, the research question is quantitative rather than qualitative. So my approach will be more deductive rather than inductive. That means I will apply a theoretical framework to guide my research and test hypotheses that are generated based on the theory. So I applied institutional theory, which explains that organizations will comply with the powerful system that defines what legitimate organization should look like in the field. Based on the theory, I hypothesized that universities will increase expenditure on the areas that rankings measure when the system of ranking is introduced. So the constructs are rankings and expenditures. Still somewhat abstract, right? And now the variables are if an institution is ranked or not, as well as per full-time equivalent student expenditure on different activities. So you see how the design aspect of the study has been formed by the theory that I employed. Meanwhile, Gardner 2010 investigated somewhat similar topic, the influence of rankings on higher education institutions from a qualitative approach. This study is based on observations at one research university, and researchers collected data from interviews with doctoral students and faculty in 6 disciplines. The researcher then identified the patterns from the data. Rankings make faculty to focus on and dissatisfied with the lack of resources and student quality when they feel pressure to improve their ranking position. On the other hand, students feel that their departments care more about image and faculty quality rather than student supports and experiences. So the tentative hypothesis is that when institutions seek to improve rankings, the culture of the institutions change and faculty feel stress while students are not satisfied with their experiences. Again, this presentation was to give you a better idea about how theory provides framework as well as empirical guidance to a research study. Although you do not need to employ a theory for your research project in this course, understanding the role of theory in research will be helpful as you read and use others' research. If you want to know more about theory, read the chapter from Creswell 2009 that is uploaded to the Blackboard Supplemental Resources folder. Okay then, let's move on to literature review. This is the first.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for watching this clip. It was a short one, as I said earlier. And as again I said earlier, this is just to remind ourselves of what some of these steps are. I said that we are looking at integrating theory in research, and it's very critical that we first of all understand theory. We really need to know what it is before we integrate it in our work. Otherwise, it's quite complicated if you are struggling to integrate what you don't know into your work. So it's a little bit difficult. So I have about 2 questions or 3 that I want us to discuss. And at the same time, I'm also asking you to ask or supplement to this that you have seen with what you know. Now, the question number one that I want to throw to the floor is, of course, drawing from what you have watched and from your own experience and from your own understanding, what is your view about theory? And this is something that I've talked about many times. And I am asking this question because I know you have experience in this. You have used theory, especially in your previous studies, must have applied somewhere, but what is the theory based on your experience, based on what you understand and based on what you've watched? What is your take on theory? That's the question number one that we need to try to look at. Okay, again, to be safe, we could also look at our gadgets. Sometimes they can go on video mode when you are not aware. These are difficult hours of the day. So if you think you are not very comfortable with yourself being seen at this time, you could take some 1 or 2 seconds and look at your gadget, whether it's on video or video is off. But if indeed you want it to be on video, it's okay, but make sure that it displays what you're comfortable with. Okay, thank you very much. Now, question number 2, and this one is critical, and this is what I think we really need to focus much attention on. For those of you who have progressed, so those of you who have moved, how did you go through? Especially, how did you do it? Did you begin your work by looking for the variables, looking for the topic, looking for a study area, or you started most of your work by analyzing the theory, just like what has been done there, so that your theory informs the variables and the constructs? Let's hear from most of you who have progressed. What exactly did you do to get your variables? Did you begin by, did you get them from theory, or you first went and looked for them, then start looking for the theory that can explain them? How did you do it? Help us who are behind. We could also be able to pour a leaf this morning. You're very free to unmute and speak. We have about 10 minutes to share this. Then we look at another video if time allows. The floor is open for us to discuss. So I'm trying to run through my chat here so that I can see whose hand is up, whose mic is on. I see my brother Nelson. Nelson, your mic is on. Are you speaking to us this morning?
Not yet. I've just logged in. Sorry, please.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's understandable. I have my brother Ben Sambambi. Well, if I pronounce your name badly, kindly have mercy on me. I think I studied from the village. Some of the things I studied with, some of the names. So kindly, Sam, Ben.
Sorry to even me. I've just opened. I was late. Sorry.
Okay, it's all right. It's all right. I am interested at the people who have progressed to try to help us with some of these questions. Question number 1, which is on the chart, is growing from what you have watched, but also from your own understanding, from your own experience. What is your take on the theory? In other words, what do you understand theory to be? And then number 2, how did you go through? For those who have progressed, what did you do? Did you begin looking at the variables? then later go and look for theories that can explain those variables. So you began by looking at theory to inform the constructs or to inform the variables that you have. So those are the two questions which are on the floor, and I haven't got a response yet,
Hello.
but I'm still waiting. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go on, please. Jonah.
This is Jonathan.
Yes, Jonah.
I think I will begin with the second question
Yes.
as I follow up the first one. What I began with before the construct, I think I started with enlarging my study area.
Okay.
For example, researching about climate change and sustainable livelihood.
Okay.
I moved out to get the study area. That's my my PhD. And so I went looking at what with this connection, what's affected with this concept. Then after getting to that part, because I had interest in issues related to this area, this phenomenon of climate change. I went ahead look at because that is my independent. When I look at what the dependent on this, because there's of issues with sustainable livelihood in some parts of Uganda, using coal, using all other sources that is now the Then I moved backward. But what stories have been advanced in this area? That's when that's how I moved. But I feel many of us have come up with the topic. Then getting the topic, read around the topic and go to get either up theory would lead in respect to the topic.
Jonah, just a minute. Our colleague Faraj, I think you seem to be having issues with the gadget. It's giving us a feedback, and we are failing to get some information that is crucial that Jonah is giving us. Okay, Jonah, you can proceed. Sorry for interfering with your submission.
So it gives you some bit of ample time if you've gotten the area, but first read about the area where you want to investigate about, and also advance yourself to what are the theories, theories in which relate what you want to investigate about. Because if I'm doing my research around any adaptation, I had around that actually I landed on the down theory. Talk about what is in my DV and in my IV. Now, to me, I looked at that as the most appropriate one.
Okay.
And maybe to go back to the first question, that what are theories? Right from, unfortunately, I found this presentation in the middle of it. But my understanding is that a theory is a phenomenon that explains the relationship between two situations or two variables. You find you might be direct one, or in your study you may find this theory to be in connecting to one of your constraints of your study. That is why that it is also important that while conducting a study, you can use more than one theory to inform the direction of your study. That's my attempt.
Thank you very much, Jonah. We certainly have benefited a lot from what you're saying. Again, I want to request that for some of us who might not be aware of what's happening in the state of our gadgets, if you are sure that indeed you want it to be on video, then try to make sure that the video that we are seeing is a good one, of course. As I said, these are weird hours. They're a little bit. Sometimes we find ourselves sleeping, and so please check your gadget and make sure that if you're sure you need a video to be on, for sure let it be that you are aware. And then also number two is that maybe when we are not submitting, we could do mute so that we don't give a feedback. Otherwise, we have missed some few pieces of information from Jonah because there was feedback coming in. Jonah, thank you very much. You mentioned something which is very interesting, that you first looked for your study area, which I entirely agree with you. But you mentioned that your study area is climate change and sustainable livelihoods. That's what you say?
Yes.
And you say one of them is the dependent variable and then the other one is the independent. Is that correct? I got you wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wanted to be clear because I thought climate change and sustainable livelihood, I thought that all is just one variable and is dependent variable, and it was a little bit getting me wondering how it's as long as that. But thank you very much. Let's see what other people have to say. But I certainly am happy that. Yes, please go on.
Okay, thank you so much, Petros.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing my research on. I'm looking for how education, which we provide in schools called entrepreneurship education, has an influence over our students' orientation towards entrepreneurship. So with me, what I did was, after I got my study area, I was trying to prove and see what could help me to explain this kind of what can influence this behavior. So I had to, first of all, identify my philosophical view of how I view knowledge. So I believed, and I still believe, in positivism. So implying that I am believing that some people have done this study before, and I want to also prove that indeed those theories that were used are correct. So what I did myself is, after I identified my independent variable, which was entrepreneurship education, and I also identified my dependent variable, I had to look for a theory which could help me explain. Of course, there are so many things that could affect something to happen, but I just zeroed in one sector. So what I did was, I started finding out, does behavior really taught? Does somebody's intention really planned? So I came up with theories which could help me explain this kind of attitude. So I found the social cognitive theory, and I also found the theory of planned behavior to be quite very relevant to help me explain what I want to see or what could happen. So that's how I chose my theories to help me explain my study area, because for me to use that kind of theory, I also had to put in mind how I view knowledge to be. Thank you so much. I submit.
Wow. Thank you very much, Petros. Petros, you have a very unique name, Petros Libinji. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yeah, Petros Libingi. I'm from Zambia.
Wow. I was about to ask because it's my first time, hearing. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Petros.
actually, Libingi is a local name in Zambia for Livingston.
Ah. Okay, thank you very much. You brought some interesting things in there, and I can see the discussion is getting heated up. And so for you, you're saying you first had to get your study area, put it there, also
Yes.
go and look for the philosophical view, and then finally look for the theories that can explain your work.
Yes.
I've got you correct. Thank you very much. And I believe the good thing here, we in this first 1 hour, it is ours. Feel free to share your view, and then in the end, we'll have one or two the doctors or professors to give further guidance on that. But I'm grateful that you're able to share how you went around trying to develop your study. Thank you very much. Is there any other view from a different person so that we can hear you as well? Ben. I see Ben is on. I see FA. See Cam. Ben, help me. I can see your mic seems to be on. I don't know. You see, when your mic is on, I get tempted to think that you're ready to share with us. And I can see Ben's mic on. I'm tempted to think that you have something to share with us.
No, not now. Let me just switch it off.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Some people may have just joined, and they may not know the questions we are trying to address. We have two questions after watching the clip, and I posed two questions. One, I said, drawing from what we have watched from the clip, unfortunately, those who have joined late may not have watched. Drawing from what we have watched and from your own experience, what is your view about theory? What is theory? How do you take theory? Of course, some people go to the dictionary and get dictionary approach. Some people go to literature and try to see how best they can explain what theory is. So that's question number one on the floor. Drawing from your own experience, your journey in reading and so on, what is your take on the theory? And question number two, which is really very interesting. How did you go about your work? Especially for some of us who have progressed, what did you do? Did you begin with first of all, picking the variables and put them there? Or you started with looking at the theory and then identify the variables? Or for you started with a topic, then look for your variables, then look for the theory? Which one is which? Where is your, I mean, how did you do? We want to learn, we want to progress, like you've done. Okay. Patrick, your mic is on. Are you sharing anything with us? Okay. I don't know if the questions are complicated. But at least I've got two people who have been able to share their views, and I'm certainly very happy with that. If we have no further attempts on those questions, maybe we could also look at the second clip, which is also very short, and then we see if we can build on that and continue with the discussion. Let me see. Share this one.
At the start of a PhD study. The aim of this video is to describe and discuss how theory can inform and improve the quality and relevance in business and management research. It offers guidance on how theory and theoretical concepts or perspectives may be selected and used. Also included is how to make an original contribution to knowledge. The contents of this video cover the following: possible definitions and conceptualization of theory, how theory relates to inductive, deductive, and abductive research approaches, the role of theory in developing theoretical and conceptual frameworks, and how to improve your understanding of how to make an original contribution to knowledge. One important but challenging aspect at the start of a PhD study is to understand what theory is and the role it plays. We are often confused about the meaning of theory as it is often used differently by different users. If you are to check out the meaning of theory in a dictionary, it is not going to help very much as the word theory has different meaning in everyday use. Even in scientific usage, the word theory has different meanings depending on the context of its use. Nevertheless, theory is necessary and useful in most business and management research, and it is essential in PhD research. The word theory is used differently by researchers in different domains, and individuals may interpret theory differently according to the philosophical viewpoint they favor. While examiners expect to see propositions and hypotheses supported by theory or theoretical concepts or perspectives, and for empirical findings to be explained by theory or theoretical concepts or perspectives. Let's run through a few definitions of a theory. The first definition is a statement of concepts and their interrelationships that shows how or why a phenomenon occurs. A theory is used to explain a phenomenon after undertaking a thorough process of examining and deliberating relevant facts. Yet another author describes a theory as seeking to describe, explain, and predict reality in sequential order. So theory, in the simplest terms, may be regarded as a set of interrelated concepts or ideas that explain some aspect of the real world. As you can see from the different definitions here, the concept of theory varies depending on the context in focus. For example, people in daily life often talk about theories in terms of being more about personal assumptions, convictions, and or thoughts about a specific phenomenon, behavior, perception, or situation that they perceive in reality. In private sector of business, theory is not frequently included as part of their discussion. Instead, they use other concepts such as strategic planning, business model, and scenario. In the public sector, theory is not commonly used, but their reality is governed by other criteria, such as routines and regulations. Students, on the other hand, often refer to theory as a model or framework. Research requires a sound theoretical basis and strong methodology. As such, the importance of theory in research cannot be underestimated. There are three reasons why theory is important for research. Firstly, it provides a framework for analysis. Secondly, it provides an efficient method for field development. And finally, it provides a clear explanation for the pragmatic world. Due to the various definitions of what constitutes a theory adopted by researchers and theorists use typologies and classification systems to describe the types of theory in the context of purpose, functions, boundaries, and goals. This definition of theory uses 8 constructs. It suggests that a theory should possess descriptive ability. It should also have explanatory power, bring about heuristic value, be testable, allows integration, have parsimony, able to show clarity, be comprehensive, and enable delimitation. These constructs are based on the fact that theory generates research and research generates and refines a theory. Another typology of theory is from Creswell and Creswell 2018. They suggest a 3-level typology of theories. Researchers are often concerned with substantive theories which are specific to a particular population, problem, or research setting, but it is often difficult to make generalizations from substantive theory. The middle range theories, such as some of the general theories on human motivation, are more likely to frame empirical inquiry, but are less likely to influence how individuals think about the world. At the top of the pyramid, grand theories provide an abstract and general theoretical perspective that can influence how individuals think about the world. However, grand theories are too abstract to be tested empirically. The building blocks for a complete theory are made up of 4 essential elements: what, how, why, who, where, and when. The what element captures the factors that should be considered as part of the phenomena of interest. How is the element that shows the relationships between and among the identified factors, for example, using arrows to connect boxes. The why element is the rationale behind the model that explains the reasons for others to give credence to the representation. Finally, the 4th building block is comprising of who, where, and when, which are the conditions that place limitations on the propositions generated from the theoretical model. What is the role of theory in developing theoretical and conceptual frameworks? Most business and management research aims to explain a particular behavior. For example, a choice or an outcome that is associated with individuals like leaders, employees and consumers, groups like work teams, companies and countries, or systems like company practices and government policies. Theories are used to explain such behavior. Theories can be used to provide both predictions and explanations. For example, theories may be used to explain why some companies are successful while others are not, or why an individual decides to buy product X while another individual decides to buy product Y. Theories do this by specifying how different concepts or phenomena relate to one another and why these concepts or phenomena relate to each other in the way that they do. More elaborations on predictions and explanations using theories here. Predictions are often stated as propositions in qualitative studies and as hypotheses in quantitative studies. A proposition is simply a statement that predicts a relationship between two or more concepts and constructs, whereas a hypothesis is a statement that predicts what the researcher expects to observe in the real world through empirical research. The term empirical research refers to the study of reality where only knowledge gained through observation is acceptable. A hypothesis is not itself a theory. It is simply a prediction. It is essential that every hypothesis is supported by theoretical arguments and logic, as well as previous empirical findings where they exist. Whereas proposition is qualitative research inquiry essentially occurs in the field with actors and events happening in their natural settings. This diagram shows how theory is connected to the real-world phenomena through different types of research. It indicates that theory can inform reality or vice versa, reality can inform theory. There are three different research approaches by which this can be done, namely inductive research, deductive research, and abductive research. Inductive research is concerned with theory building. When there is a lack of existing theory that predicts and explains a particular behavior in the social world, the researcher collects data in the real world with the aim of building a new theory. Deductive research is more suitable in situations when theory or theoretical concepts or perspectives already exist to explain specific behaviors in the social world. In such situations, the researcher formulates hypotheses with which to test the existing theory with the aim of modifying the existing theory in order to improve its predictive and explanatory powers. And abductive research adopts a pragmatic perspective to overcome weakness in the inductive and deductive approaches. Using an abductive approach, the researcher moves back and forth between the real and theoretical worlds in order to select the best explanation from competing explanations or interpretations of the data. Making an original contribution to knowledge very often incorporates a theoretical contribution. A theory should apply in a range of specified contexts and settings. That is, the theory should be generalizable. For example, a particular theory of firm investment may apply in developed nations, but it might not apply in developing nations. When in this situation, a researcher may attempt to modify the model so that it has predictive and explanatory powers in developing nations. What happens here is the contribution to knowledge is not in applying the existing theory in a new context, but the adaptation of the existing theory so that it can be used in the new context. In a PhD study, just replicating a study by testing an existing theory is not enough, as no new knowledge is generated. What is required is to be able to show a contribution to knowledge. However, you can still achieve it in many different ways. One example is you may study a particular topic using a methodology that has not been previously used, which could lead to new knowledge and theoretical insights. Whenever possible, you should use existing theory in your research. However, it can be challenging to find and select relevant theories that may be useful in your research. You also need to appreciate that simply including a number of theories in your thesis is not the same as providing a strong theoretical foundation for your research. Theory should be used to explain the relationships between different phenomena, and the research should have some degree of theoretical coherence linking the various concepts together. General theories are often used to provide a foundation for research, which then informs the use of more specific theory that may provide superior explanatory powers. Very often, students introduce new ideas or variables to an existing theory that somehow improves the theory. For example, an existing theory may be modified by incorporating ideas from a theory in another field, but there must be a logical rationale for doing this. By improving an existing theory, you can make the expected contribution to knowledge, which should already be well thought through in your research proposal. The output of your literature review is the conceptual or theoretical framework. It is typically presented in a diagram form based on existing theory that is found in the literature. A theoretical framework provides a general representation of relationships between concepts or ideas in the study. It serves as the structure and support for the rationale for the research, the problem statement, the purpose, the significance, and the research questions of the study. Theoretical framework specifies the theory that guides you in your research, which helps determine what you will measure and what relationships you will be investigating. A theoretical framework may be regarded as the researcher's lens with which to view the world. Your choice of framework should reflect important personal beliefs and understanding about the nature of knowledge and how it exists, which is also related to the methodological choices you make. Without a theoretical framework, the structure and vision for a study is unclear. A conceptual framework, on the other hand, indicates the concepts of interest in a study and the assumed relationships between them. Concepts are the building blocks of theory and represent the points around which business and management research is conducted. Some examples of
Friends, I may be forced to pause this video for two small reasons. Number one, I have a direct message from somebody that requires either Professor Joseph Ntai to respond to, or Professor Michael Koche. But also the other reason is I think you can hear a lot of background noise here. We seem to have a little problem here in this state. That requires my attention. But before I get to that, allow me ask this question. Somebody has sent me a direct message and is saying, what should we start with? Should we pick variables from literature and look for theories to explain them? Or should we start by analyzing the theories and pick or draw concepts from the theory? Kindly ask one of the professors to respond. So that is the question that we have. And this person is specifically saying, kindly ask Professor Joseph Ntai or Professor Michael Koche to respond. Professor, the question is here. I want to establish that Professor Joseph Ntai is on, or Professor Michael.
Joe,
Yes.
can you repeat that question?
The question is, what should we start with? Should we pick variables from literature and then look for the theories to explain them? Or should we analyze the theories and then pick the concepts from them? Kindly help me. That's the question. I may keep my mic off for a minute. I seem to have, there's something happening here which is a little bit disturbing the state here. But that's the question. It's directed to one of the professors, and the person seems to be in serious need of response.
And the person was specific, Professor Ntai or Professor Koch.
I'm tempted to open it up so that Professor Laura can come in as we wait for the response from the rest.
My senior is the call.
Okay, Prof. Professor Joseph Ntai or Professor Michael Koche, before I bring in Professor Laura, the question is directed to one of you.
Okay, allow me to come in.
Kindly do.
A very good morning. I hope I can be heard.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. The question is, what comes first?
Yes.
The variables, then the theories, or the theory, then the variables?
Yes.
The video that was on, I thought brought this thing out very clearly. I mean, when you start in a research, you start by identifying a phenomena that you wish to explain, to provide explanations for, okay? So what is the problem out there? What is the problem out there that you wish to investigate? Having identified that phenomenon, the next thing then you ask yourself is, what could provide the plausible explanation for that issue that you have identified? You know, and then you get some rough idea of explanatory factors, okay? Now with this rough idea of explanatory factors, you then go into reviewing of the various literature around what you think could provide the explanations. So as you read the theories, you are able now to pick the exact variables to work with. So in other words, you start with identifying a phenomena, get a rough idea of explanatory factors, read around them before you now settle down and say, this is what I'm going to use as explanatory variable for the criterion variable that you have identified. In brief, that is what I want to submit. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Prof. Very clear. And somebody is already asking where is Professor's number. Now this one, write a direct message to Prof. Go to the chat and write a direct message to Prof, and you certainly have the number. Thank you very much, Prof. And
Michael, to who? I mean, Joseph, to who?
sorry, I didn't know my mic is off already. I seem to have a little problem here at this stage. There seems to be thugs that are disturbing us around here. The dogs are barking every corner. So our time is fast spent. We have cheated the next session by 6 minutes, and I would sincerely want to apologize. Number two, I want to thank all of you, my friends, my fellow students, for attending this very first 1 hour. Thank you very much. This very moment, I would like to hand over this mic to Professor Michael Okoche, I guess. Professor, are you there? Okay. Professor Michael?
Joe.
Yes.
Since he's not in yet, I don't see him on the platform yet. Confirm on the list.
It's not there, I
And
think.
I'm not seeing Walugembe. So in order to manage time, we can drive the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I take it up from here and allow you to go and attend to what's going on in your neighborhood. I'm really praying that you don't have thugs.
I have locked my house with 3 paddocks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joseph, for ably steering the morning session that went on from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. to this time, okay? At this juncture, I would like to thank everyone who has logged in. I mean, sleep is very precious, but you have sacrificed to log in this morning. This is something that we do not take for granted. Without you, this session wouldn't be. And thank you really for logging in. And I wish to thank Professor Ntai for allowing us have this platform. On this platform, we share knowledge. We come to learn, relearn, and learn. And, run away with something new to better our research agenda. So, friends, whenever there's this call, try to endeavor to join. I joined in, I think it was about 10 minutes to the top of the hour, but I found a very interesting and educative video going on. So what I want to encourage members on the call is, yes, the 3 to 4 a.m. is for the students, but we, the seniors, have something to pick. For example, the video that was on this morning feeds into our presentation very nicely. So if you missed that at the beginning, then what we are going to share becomes a little hard, So don't take the 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. session for granted. There's a lot and really a lot to learn. We thank the organizers for putting together all the educative materials, and, bringing us up to speed. For the students or the potential students, there's a lot to learn here. Endeavor not to miss. I would also encourage you to invite your friends, okay? Invite that person who is on the PhD journey or already has a PhD. You know, it doesn't cost a lot. And, you know, knowledge here that we share here is free. And guess what? All the presenters here, this is just a pro bono service, something that was not there during our time. I would like to give a brief about my time, during my time. During my time, we were 3 people, 3 students on the PhD journey. I was the only lady with 2 other guys, but I'm telling you, we did not have such a session where people would come and share ideas. We were there lost in the forest and we struggled on our own. But now that there is such a session where you can come and even showcase your thoughts and members contribute into refining your thoughts, why would you, sleep? Why wouldn't you sacrifice your sleep and come and attend to these sessions? And it's only on Sundays. So tell a friend to tell a friend that this session is on every Sunday. 3 to 4 students showcase their works. Then afterwards, there is a presentation, a discourse by the various speakers of the day. And during the student session, if it's not the students presenting, there are some educative videos that are shared for members to pick a thing or two. So this is just to encourage all of you to be with us every Sunday. All right, so I would like to now go into our today's agenda. And to do this, I invite my colleague, Professor Julius Chikoma, to give an open remark, then we see what next. Over to you, Julius.
Yes. Thank you very much, Prof. Laura, and good morning, everyone who's tuned in or who is logged on to this morning's call. And I would like to thank the organizers or the people behind this platform for allowing us to come and share with the community here ideas that really, as academic, we need to continue engaging and reflecting on. And like Rora has mentioned, it's not just for those who still have to defend their scholarly credentials and PhDs. It is actually, I think, a space where we can be able to freely exchange and debate issues and be critical about what we are consuming in terms of knowledge through our scholarly efforts. It is only that way that we can be able to really further our understanding of issues in society, and therefore, find ways we can imagine new ways of attacking, perennial problems where we're in a context where, we need more of people who can use their heads in order to deal with problems that have dogged society for quite a while. So I think this space is very, very good, and we must encourage, upfront and upright discourses that can help us not to take things for granted. and the video that was shared and the question I found. I came in a bit late, almost, I think it was 2 minutes to the hour, so I really didn't catch much of what had happened before. But hearing what Laura was explaining, I think there must have been a very interesting discussions, which within, I think, the framework of our series of conversations around theory, its role, and how it connects with methodology and method in research, and also in dissertations, especially for those PhDs people who are on this call. So I think those questions are very welcome. We need to continue to reflect on them. That particular question that was given, I think it doesn't have a very straightforward answer that yes, you know, that chicken and egg question is not meant to have a conclusive answer, because as you think more about, you know, the different ways research or a researcher proceeds with the research, and then you think in terms of the question as it came, where the question was, what comes first? Is it the variables? If I have a variable, do I start with variables, then find research that can be able to help me study the variable, or can I start with the theory and then identify the variables that I can attack using that particular theory? It could be that yes, in some studies, and this question may also reflect a distinction between studies or research sometimes which is conducted when, you know, the primary aim is some kind of prediction, or the primary focus is on variations in the phenomenon that you are studying, or what they call variance studies. So a variable becomes the core, so you can actually, you can start with a variable, because in any case, it is possible that what you are studying as variables, it's not new. It's it's within existing frameworks of thinking that have been used to study it. Maybe you want now to use other theories to study it, so you can start with the variable. But there are studies that don't start with variables. They're interested more not in variation but processes. So you might even not have a clarity on what concepts concretely are actually going to be helpful in a study that you're interested in. So in that kind of work, then, just going by the idea that variables come first, for instance, becomes very difficult to help you if the phenomenon you want to investigate is more about capturing processes and events and things like that. So, but I think it's a good question to keep reflecting on, especially when you are at the beginning of your study, so that you don't quickly just take it for granted that once I have a variable, then I'm done. I will be able to proceed to hit the ground running. Now, that I think that's enough on those preliminaries that I found in the call. For our continued series on looking at how theory connects with the practice of research and the approaches we use to do research. We have we laid out that we will be tackling, I think, 4 elements to that. We already did something on the first Sunday that we were here, and on the first Sunday we really went into appreciating the issues around theoretical frameworks and conceptual frameworks and the distinctions. And we thought that it was important to start with that because many times there is a bit of confusion, and for beginning researchers, that confusion can really be very tormenting, especially when there is no clarity and when you are receiving comments that just throw you into more confusion. So we tried to make the distinction by using some analogies or some ways of understanding that could help. We use the house metaphor. The other element, the other units we thought we should cover in this series of conversations around the theory and method was the second week's conversation around integration of theories in dissertations and papers for publication. And I remember we delved into how to think of the possibilities that come up when you are trying to work with theory, existing frameworks, or identifying how, you know, the different theoretical lenses available can help you tease into a particular phenomenon. Laura, I think, went to some good depths in trying to articulate the different distinctions that could be there. Remember, I think there had also been a question at that time, or the previous one, when I had introduced the distinctions between theory and theoretical framework and conceptual framework. There had been some questions around whether you can use only one theory in your work, or you can use many, and how many do you need, stuff like that. So the presentation last week was to help us really deal with that, and it's a big issue in when we're really getting down into our work. But you just need to remember that while we keep asking that question of how many theories, we need to keep in mind that we also must understand theory from more than one kind of level, or one kind of distinction. We mentioned that theories may come. There are some theories that are very, very specific to your content area, but there are theories that sort of combine, or a bit at a more higher level of abstraction, which would represent a wider look at either society at a more global level of trying to put things together as you explain a phenomenon. So we said that theory can come in macro, micro, and even mid-range or macro, meso levels. So because of that, we thought that this interest in integrating theory will be very important to really have more clarity and more conversation around it. So Laura is going to give us a little bit more of what she did last time, just so we are able to appreciate the struggles that you can go through in order to really have your study founded on some strong theoretical framework. Because clearly, the role of theory in your research is foundational, and no PhD dissertation will pass without some semblance of, a clear theoretical engagement, where examiners appreciating how the student has been able to develop their theoretical understanding of the area. So because of that, I think we will listen a little bit more to the issues around integrating theories from Laura this morning. We will not be able to bring in the third unit we had said today, because I think Laura is continuing. We will, the third unit will come in next Sunday, so that we give what needs to be completed today more time and just a bit of much more open discussion. So Laura, I think I will want to stop here and allow you to, I think, take us through some more discussion of integrating theories in dissertations and papers for publication. Over to you, Laura.
Okay, thank you, Julius. The issue of theories in our research continues to challenge so many of us. And this is an issue, I don't want to say has no solution, but it requires us to keep on reading and reading, updating ourselves, searching and searching for knowledge. This is the most, I don't want to say the hardest, but the area we see students struggle. It's the area we see students struggle. And that is why we have questions of chicken and egg. What comes first? Should it be like this? We'll keep on, talking about this. We'll keep on coming back to the issues of theory, concept, conceptual framework, theoretical framework. This is something that I want to say will always be an ongoing thing. So we already know that theories are explanations to a social behavior, event, or a phenomenon. We already know that. Yeah. Theories come in to give an explanation. So what we're saying here, or what we're trying to emphasize is, have you identified that thing that you want to investigate? Yes. So which theory can provide an explanation for that you have identified? In other words, theories should explain why things happen the way they do, rather than just describe concepts. Theories should provide an explanation. Theories should explain why things happen the way they do, rather than describe concepts. The moment you get this very clearly, that's when now you'll be able to work easily with the theories, okay? We mentioned last time that theories provide underlying logic for a phenomenon, underlying explanation. It aids in sense making, okay, through strategic synthesis of empirical data. It identifies constructs and relationships, yeah. It also contributes in accumulating knowledge by bridging gaps or reevaluation of a phenomena. So the elements of a theory are four. As you get to read a theory, look out for these four elements, okay? As you get to read a theory, to review a theory. Last time, Professor Ntai encouraged us to get textbooks of the original theory. I was supervised by Professor Mnene. He made me buy books of the theories that I was using. And today, I am glad I did it. I have the original textbook. It's more than 200 pages. Original textbook on the theory of reason action, theory of planned behavior. In that book, there is, the genesis of how it began, how it evolved, and where it is. You get a journal article in relation to your area of study, fine. They've identified the theories, fine. In the list of references, they have provided the citation for that theory. Why not go and dig deeper to the origin? Yeah, read through that theory that you have identified from the original perspective for you to be able to understand and get a firm grip of the theory so that you can now see how it fits in your study. The moment you just rely on what someone has cited in his work, you are likely to miss certain points, okay? You are likely to miss certain points. So you are safer going to the original documents, okay? So I was saying that a theory has 4 elements. Number one, as you read the theories, you must be able to identify the constructs, yeah? The what of theories. What concepts are important in explaining a phenomenon? The constructs, stroke variables, okay? Then also the propositions. You are reading this theory. What are the propositions? The how of the theories. That is, how are concepts identified related to each other? How? Okay. The next is the logic, the why of the theory. Why are these concepts related? So you have the what, how, and why. The what of the theories, the how of the theories, the why of the theories. And then there's also the assumption or boundary conditions, the who, when, and where of the theory. That is, under what circumstances will these concepts and relationship work? You're looking at the theory of the resource-based view, okay, the resource-based view theory. Under what conditions should that theory work? Under what conditions? Agency theory, under what conditions should it work? Transaction cost economics theory, under what conditions should it work? Social network theory, under what condition must it work? From the various presentations, this doesn't come out clearly. Excuse me. It's not a matter of fishing theories left, right, and center. Dig deeper and get a firm grip of how that theory fits in your study, okay? So it's not a matter of, I'm going to use the resource-based view theory, and based on this, the main argument is XYZ, and so the variables I'm picking from this is XYZ. Go beyond that and, show or demonstrate the logical flow that theory provides. Why are these concepts related? Under what circumstances will it stand? Okay. So as you go on doing this, you are relating to your study. How does it fit? As a PhD, your task is to bring in new knowledge. Sometimes this new knowledge comes in form of, integrating or combining theories to provide a new dimension or a better understanding of a phenomena. So that is where we are going to focus on today. Last time we talked, Professor Ntai mentioned something to do with theory testing and theory building. I just want to demonstrate a little on theory testing. What is theory testing? From the term itself, it means testing a theory to see whether the theory works, to see whether this theory holds, to provide evidence that, what this theory says is really actually what is happening here, okay? You will forgive me. I love working with the theories I've worked with, the theory of reason action. So I'm saying theory testing, as the name suggests, is a process of testing whether a certain theory that you have chosen is a plausible explanation for a phenomenon or the issue that you wish to investigate. Put it simply, the main focus of theory testing is to discover whether there is evidence that supports or does not support a particular issue, okay? So it is crucial that you understand the theory as it is used or explained, rather than superficially reduce it to only the points that you agree with or disagree with. What do you want to do? Do you want to test a theory or you want to build on a theory? Okay, so to test a theory, it means you get that theory as is and you go out and test it. Okay, you go out and prove, does it hold or does it not hold, in explaining the issue that you have identified. I want to illustrate this using the theory of reason action by Azen and Fishburne, 1997. Man, I had to dig for the 1997 document to understand this theory, okay? So now in that theory, when you read a theory, you are now able to, remember the 4 elements I mentioned about a theory. The theory must have the what, how, why, and the underlying assumptions, okay? So based on the review of the theory of reason action, this is how I can summarize it, okay? So the concepts, the underlying concepts the theory has are those that you're seeing on your screen. I hope you can see my screen. We have attitudes, subjective norms, intentions, and the actual behavior. So according to this theory, the theorists posit that a behavior, for someone to do whatever he is doing, the person has to, take deliberate thought process and evaluate the behavior. I'm going to start a business. The person first sits down and thinks about that business. In the process, the person develops either a positive attitude or a negative attitude. Then there's also the issue of other people around you. What are their thoughts about starting a business? Yeah. And then, these attitudes, subjective norms shape the intention. The moment attitudes, subjective norms are strong, then the intention becomes strong, and then we see action taking place. So this theory can be used to explain, why people are not going into business or they are in business, okay? Then there's also the technology acceptance model. These are the variables and the logical flow of thoughts provided by the technology acceptance model. Now, the technology acceptance model basically is trying to provide an explanation. There's someone in the background. Can you mute yourself? Unfortunately, I don't have the muting rights. Yeah, so technology acceptance model is used to explain adoption behavior. why do people end up using certain systems? Why do people end up using online banking system, ATM system? You know, why do people end up doing things the way they do? So from the theorists' perspective, they provide the answer that when an individual perceives that system is going to be useful, that is when the person will take it up. If the person perceives the system will be useful, will help him or her, that's when the person will take it up. If the person has a positive attitude towards that system, that's when the person will take it up. And when you read that theory, you'll see the what, the how, the why of the theory behind technology acceptance, okay? So if you say, I am going to use the technology acceptance model, we expect to see something like that. But if we see other variables in addition to what is provided for by the technology acceptance model, then it means that you are bringing other theoretical explanations on board. You are marrying 2 or 3 other theories. You are combining, you are integrating to provide a better explanation for adoption of a particular system, okay? Right there on your screen is an illustration of a conceptual framework that has been developed from an integration of theories. Particularly, there are 2 theories here, the intellectual capital theory and competitive advantage theory. Now, when you read these 2 theories, you will see that that intellectual capital theory provides an explanation for financial performance of organizations, okay? And also the competitive advantage theory provides explanation for financial performance. So here the researcher will be saying that if he or she looked at only the perspective of intellectual capital, he misses out on providing insights on the competitive advantage, okay? So by incorporating the competitive advantage, you get a better explanation for financial performance in that case. So friends, the emphasis I'm putting here is, it's not a matter of saying, from the intellectual capital theory, I picked intellectual capital, and you stop there. From the competitive advantage theory, I picked the competitive advantage variable. No, go ahead and demonstrate how those concepts are related in your study, how they provide an explanation. Fine, from the intellectual capital theory, what does it say as far as financial performance is concerned? The what, the why, the how, the underlying assumptions. Under what condition will this relationship hold? That relationship between intellectual capital and financial performance. Under what condition will it hold? You're looking at competitive advantage and financial performance. Under what condition will it hold? Okay? Yeah, I hope at the end of this, we are able to appreciate why we do things the way we do. This is also another example of integrating theories. From here, you can see the theories at work are actually the social exchange theory. From social exchange theory, you pick out the perceived organization support, psychological capital theory. All these provide explanation for employee engagement, okay, in their own accord. And then to strengthen that relationship or explanation, there is that job satisfaction. But how do these boxes come up the way they are and those lines there? That is the why. That is the how, okay? Demonstrate the how. How does one happen? How? Okay? All right. So last time, I provided a few approaches on how we integrate theories, okay? How do we integrate theories? There are many ways, but I'm just going to list a few and then point out the commonly used one, okay? I'm just going to point out a few and then emphasize the commonly used one, which I see all of us apply in our studies, okay? So the first one, the first approach is where you have one single phenomenon, yeah? Being explained by two theories or from two theoretical perspectives, okay? One single phenomenon, meaning that you have two or more theories, okay? But one common, I was going to say denominator, one common dependent variable, like the one we saw of financial performance. So financial performance in that case is a common phenomena, the single phenomena, the common variable, the common DV, okay? Two theoretical perspectives we saw, intellectual capital theory and competitive advantage theory. Okay, I'll come back to those bullets you're seeing there. I would like to use the study of Maya and Salomon 2006 to demonstrate the first approach of integrating theories, okay? So these researchers, in their study, what was their study? Their study was on technological capabilities, contractual hazards, and subcontracting decisions, okay? So here they integrated, they used the elements of resource-based view theory, focusing on the element of technological capabilities, yeah? Resource-based view theory, focusing on technological capabilities to explain subcontracting decisions. But then they go ahead and combine the resource-based view theory with the elements of transaction cost economics, okay? Focusing on contractual hazards, yeah? When you look at this conceptual framework there, you'll see that if the study zeroed on one theory, it will, let's say resource-based view theory, it will focus on only providing the explanation or correlating technological capabilities and subcontracting decisions. But then you miss out certain points, certain insights like the contractual hazards. You know, when you are subcontracting, you know, the decision to either go into outsourcing and not outsourcing, there is a risk. You look at the risks involved. So if you only study from the technological perspective, you leave out insights relating to risks associated with subcontracting, okay? So to give holistic view of subcontracting decisions. You also look at the risk involved in subcontracting. Okay, so here you now bring in the other variable that can explain that. So according to according to the researchers, they reported that stronger capabilities, okay, not only helped lower the costs of doing projects internally, but also helped lower the costs of subcontracting the projects, okay? You're looking at subcontracting projects. And you're trying to explain it from the perspective of technological capabilities. So by you introducing the transaction costs, you go ahead to see how the technological capabilities help you lower costs. And by so doing, you provide a better explanation for subcontracting decisions, for governance issues. And so when someone now zeroes down and says, instead of doing this project within the organization, let us outsource it. Yeah, we're looking at cleaning services. Instead of doing the cleaning ourselves, let us get a firm that will clean for us. But before you reach that decision, you would have gone through this kind of synthesis. Should we not? Do we have the technology? Don't we? Do we have or we don't? Then what should we do? All these things come in play, and it's possible when you integrate various theories to provide the explanation. Okay. So there's also another approach. Single phenomena with seemingly dissimilar theoretical perspective, handful, or is it mouthful of concepts there. But what am I saying? Oh, before I come to that, for you to integrate two perspectives, theoretical perspectives, successfully, okay? The effort to do this must respect the foundational assumptions of each theory. You're saying you're going to use resource-based view theory combined with transaction cost economics theory. What are the underlying assumptions? Okay, can they work together in order to provide this explanation that you want to explore? Don't forget, it's not a matter of marrying one variable with the other. Be mindful of the circumstances that hold their existence, okay? Then secondly, articulate how each theory will be utilized and why each theory alone cannot address the research question like we did. Each theory alone, if you use the resource-based view alone, you leave out issues that would have, given you insights on the costs involved or the advantages of adopting technology. Okay. Now, single theory, dissimilar theoretical perspective. I'll come back to these three other factors. Let us go to the illustration. Okay. Now, what is involved here? We are saying one dependent variable, which is common, yeah, but two different research perspectives. It sounds kind of similar to the earlier example I gave, yeah, to the first approach, yeah. In that it involves integrating two theoretical perspectives on the same phenomena. Two theoretical perspectives on the same phenomena. But where's the difference? The difference lies in the way in which the integration is structured, okay? It begins by highlighting the evident differences between the two perspectives, but then shows the possibility of synthesis. I've spoken Greek, but allow me try to tone it down a bit, okay? So, say you wish to investigate leadership behavior, okay? Say you wish to investigate leadership behavior or influence or performance. I'm looking at the individual up there, okay? You can do this by using the elements of social network theory, okay? Which focuses on the network structure, yeah? Which focuses on the network structure. And then you can also try to explain the influence of that individual by looking at, by bringing in the leader-member exchange theory, which focuses on network quality, okay? Now, note here that the two theories talk about how a leader gains influence based on how she or he relates with people in the organization. So the two theories seem different, okay? They seem different, but when they are actually speaking the same language, both are talking about networks, okay? Both are talking about networks. While one talks about the network structure, the other one talks about network quality. Two theories which look to be like different, but actually they have something in common. They have a common theme in there. The common theme being the networks. So I want you to think about your work, your study. What approach are you using? The first approach, we just looked at the two different perspectives, two different theoretical perspectives to give an explanation. The example we had, the first one being intellectual capital theory combined with competitive advantage theory to explain financial performance. Example 2 was resource-based field theory and transaction cost economics to explain subcontracting decisions. Those are two different theories, nothing, no common theme in there. But now with this perspective, the second approach, two different theoretical perspectives with a common theme in them. The common theme here being the network. Network structure, one theory talks about the network structure, that is a social network theory. Then the second theory, which is leader-member exchange theory, talks about the network quality of the relationship. So here, basically the study is interested in providing explanation of the leader's influence from the perspective of how the leader relates with the people in the organization, okay? How do they relate with the people in the organization? So think about your study. Do you have common themes in your variables? If you have common themes in your variable, then it means you are using approach 2. If you don't, then it is approach 1 that you're using. Now, for this to happen successfully, yeah, the theories chosen need to speak to the same or highly similar phenomena, okay? it must be possible to frame relationship between the two perspectives in terms of meaningful opposition. Meaningful opposition here, one talks about network structure, the other one talks about network quality. Two opposites, but common thing being the network, the relationship between the members of the organization. Okay, there should be points of commonality between the two perspectives within the opposition. Commonality here being the network that I've talked about. Okay, so we move on to the third aspect, the third approach. How we are looking at how do we integrate theories? How do we bring different theories together? Okay, how do we bring different theories together? We move on to the third approach. Yeah, applying one theory to the domain of another theory. Applying one theory to the domain of another theory. Okay, so remember, we have different domains. We have the entrepreneurship domain, information system, social psychology, and so forth and so forth. Okay, so it is possible that you may decide to combine two theoretical perspectives that speak to two different phenomena. Two theoretical perspectives, okay, that speak to two different phenomena, so long as the application of one theory to the domain of another can provide a novel, a new insight, a novel explanation, can bring something new on board. Remember, at the end of the day, you want to bring in new knowledge. What is your contribution to existing knowledge? What is your contribution? Okay. What is your contribution? Okay. So permit me at this point to use the works of Weber and Mayer 2011, okay, to drive that point home. Now, what do these people do? In their study, they combined the transaction cost theory. I mean, I keep going back to the transaction cost theory because, the people you supervise make you read more. I thought we had reached, I've stopped reading, but people bring for you new insights and you're forced to go back and read and be up to date. So of late, transaction cost theory is what I'm working with. So in this study by Weber and Mayer 2011, okay, they combined the transaction cost theory with regulatory focus theory. Had you come across that? Regulatory focus theory from the social cognitive psychology domain. So you're bringing in transaction cost economics theory from a different domain, combining it with social cognitive psychology domain, yeah, by singling out the regulatory focus theory. So they combined these two theories, the transaction cost economics with regulatory focus theory from the social cognitive psychology domain, to do what? To show contract framing, the way you frame a contract. I'm sure everyone has had a contract before. What does a contract comprise of? You have your appointment letter. That can be like a contract saying that you are going to do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z for this period of time. Okay, so these researchers were interested in, seeing or trying to show how contracts should be framed, okay? By using these two theories, combining these two theories, one from the socioeconomics perspective with the regulatory focus theory. So their aim was to show contract framing. The way you frame contracts is an important element in minimizing issues of hazards, okay? And managing buyer-supplier relationship. They were looking at buyer-supplier relationship. What is a contract? What is a contract in there? You've been contracted to, let's say, give a consultancy service. You're given a contract, okay? And the contract has clauses. There are details in there. So now, what these researchers were basically interested in, they were looking at how contracts can be used to effectively manage contracts and partner relationships through duration safeguards, okay? Through duration safeguards. So they were interested in seeing not only how contracts what clauses should be in the contracts, but how they should be phrased so that you safeguard the partnership relationship. The important point I want to drive home here is using two different theories, one theory from a different perspective to explain a phenomenon in a different domain, okay? Now, for this to work effectively, there should be a clear articulated link between the theory and the new domain that allows a productive dialogue, okay? The basic assumptions of the theory and the new domain at least needs to be compatible. You're looking at transaction cost economics and applying this in a social-cognitive psychology domain, yeah? Applying it in that domain, can it work? Are they compatible? So, friends, what I'm trying to emphasize here is, as you mix and match theories, this is what I'm going to investigate. I'm going to use this theory and the other theory and the other theory and the other theory. Have at the back of your mind, this mix matching, are they compatible? When you look at the assumptions, are they compatible? It's not a matter of just, throwing boxes here and there, saying you're going to bring on board this theory and the other theory. Look at the assumptions. From the word go, I've been emphasizing the issue of assumptions. It's easy for us to pick out the variables, okay, and leave out the assumptions. And that is why when it comes to analysis, some of the variables crash. Some of the variables disappear. When you run the factor analysis, the confirmatory factor, you start with the exploratory factor analysis, then you go to confirmatory factor analysis. In the confirmatory factor analysis, the variables disappear. What happens? It could be that the assumptions were not holding. Yeah. So because they're not holding, they can't fit in your study. So as you review the various theories that you have singled out, mind the what, why, how, and the assumptions, the circumstances under which they hold. You are going to get a certain theory, you're going to get an information system theory, apply it in an economics domain. Do the assumptions hold? do the assumptions hold? So be very mindful of that. Okay. We look at the fourth stream. When you look at your work, I'm very sure that many of us lie here. Yeah, that is where most of us lie. The fourth approach is where it involves 2 or more streams of research that provide similar accounts, okay? Similar explanatory accounts in explaining a given phenomenon, okay? Okay, most of us actually lie in the first approach that I gave, single phenomenon, 2 or more theoretical perspective. The second approach is that one we saw, the third one. Now, the fourth one, I want to retract my statement. On the fourth approach, this involves using 2 or more streams of research that provide similar explanatory account mechanisms in which a given outcome becomes the outcome. It's similar accounts of how things happen, the processes, the mechanisms, okay? Now, in this particular one, I would want to, let's say, let me think of an example here. Say you want to investigate organization citizenship behavior at the workplace, okay? You want to investigate organization citizenship behavior at the workplace, all right? Now, to do this, you can choose to employ the social exchange perspective, okay? Social exchange perspective. Now, when you read the different researches on social exchange, one perspective talks about perceived organization support. Another perspective talks about leader-member exchange. Then the other talks about psychological contract. All these 3 are different streams talking about the same thing, talking about social exchange. How the leader-member relates. How do they relate? And from this relationship, what is the effect on the citizenship behavior? How do they relate? So here, the important thing is you have, I want to call it an umbrella. You have one umbrella, yeah, common umbrella, but with different streams in there to explain a given phenomenon. So in this particular umbrella, we are talking about social exchange. Social exchange, we are just talking about how people relate and what benefits they get out of that relationship, okay? So the umbrella being social exchange. Now, under the umbrella, it can be 1 person, 2 people, 3 people. You know, when it rains, you have an umbrella. That umbrella can cover 1 person, 2 or more. So here in this particular example, the umbrella is social exchange. But in there are different streams. One stream focusing on perceived organization support, the other one focusing on leader-member exchange, and another stream focusing on psychological contract. So when you bring these different streams talking about social exchange together in one study, you are integrating the various theories, okay? You are integrating the various theories. So what I want to say here is there are different ways we integrate theories, yeah? you can integrate by bringing together similar streams, okay? Similar streams. Another stream, another umbrella can be the ethical behavior. When you look at the ethical behavior researches, there are also different theories in there, different streams. Another one takes one angle, the other angle, the other angle. So when you bring that together, you can provide an explanation to your study. Okay. All right, so looking at this particular example, yeah, you choose, here you have the perceived organization support theory, leader-member exchange theory, psychological contract theory. All these in a nutshell are saying one thing. They are saying employees will respond in kind to the treatment they receive from the organization. Meaning that when you attend, if you want to see OCB improve, attend to the relationship in there. This relationship will work on the members' attitude and behavior, okay? It will work on members' attitude and behavior. So I want you to think about your work as we talk about these things. Now, for you to be able to pull different streams of research, sharing a similar explanatory account, okay? Similar explanatory account. The example I gave, the similar explanatory account, is about social exchange shaping the members' attitudes and behavior. All these theories are talking about that, yeah? All these theories are talking about shaping members' behavior through their attitudes and relationship in there, okay? So for you to successfully pull this off, several streams of research need to share a single explanatory account. Single explanatory account. Social exchange, shaping people's behavior. Those streams of work ideally fall within a single domain or focus on a common set of explanatory variables. The integration needs to do more than show how distinct streams of research rest on the same foundation. The foundation here is social exchange. Commonality here is social exchange. In this relationship, these arrows, the exchanges here shape the members' attitude, which in turn influences the way they behave. Okay, that is the explanation. That is the example there. But I want you to think about yours. So from these 4 approaches, I hope now you can fall back to your study and try to see which particular approach you are pursuing. Is it the first approach where you have 2 theoretical perspectives with the single phenomenal, or the second one which has single phenomenal, seemingly dissimilar theoretical perspective, or a theory being applied in a different domain? So as you provide the write-up on your theoretical framework, don't stop on picking out the variables. Remember to give remember to go on to show the how, the logical flow. How are the concepts related, and under what circumstances do they hold? Okay. Another thing I want to bring to light is, as you read these theories, remember the 4 elements. Element number 1 of a theory is the constructs. What I have noted throughout my time during supervision is this. I want you to look at this particular conceptual framework. You'll see that in these boxes, there are no dots. Yeah, compared to this one, there are no bullets. What does this tell us? When you read those theories and you pick out those concepts, some of the concepts provided by those theories are unidimensional. They are unidimensional. If they are unidimensional, what business do you have forcing dimensions on that variable? Attitude, if you're using theory of reason action, theory of planned behavior, technology acceptance model, the other one is UTAUT, Unified Technology Acceptance, blah, blah, blah. If you're looking at attitude using these theories, attitude under those theories is treated as a unidimensional variable. But if you go to, I've forgotten the author, forgive me, but there's another theory which treats attitude as a multidimensional variable. And it even goes ahead to specify those dimensions, okay? It goes ahead to specify those dimensions. So the point I'm trying to put across here is, as you review the various theories, be mindful of the concepts. Are those concepts unidimensional or multidimensional? Unidimensional means that they do not have dimensions, okay? When you put them, when you decide to use those concepts from a particular theory that treats them as unidimensional, please do not force dimensions on them. I've seen time and again, this is what is provided for by technology acceptance model, okay? But I've seen people say one of their variable is system adoption. Then in that particular box, they put attitude, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use in the box of system adoption. For me, that means that you did not read the theory, you did not understand the theory. And actually, if you go to the original document by Davis, the author of Technology Acceptance Model, he even goes ahead and provides the questionnaire item. The questionnaire item, he has different questionnaire items for perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness, attitude, and system adoption. So what business is it for you to force those different items under adoption? Adoption is adoption, simple. Adoption is usage of a system, okay? So why do you force dimensions on adoption? Why do you force dimension on perceived usefulness, okay? I emphasize, as you review the theories and you are able to pick out or identify the concepts to work with, go further to read about the concepts. Some concepts have dimensions, others don't have dimensions, okay? Look at this one. When you go to intellectual capital theory, the theory even mentions it's categorically clear that intellectual capital is conceptualized in terms of human capital, relational capital, structural capital. It is there in the theory. These come out from the theory. Now for you, your variable, I mean, for you, your study, look at your study, look at your variables. Where are these concepts coming from? Where are these underlying dimensions coming from? Be mindful, be mindful. When you go to Michael Porter's competitive advantage, yeah, you'll see these concepts there. The dimensions are there. So for you to put something else in that box and say this is the dimension, I ask, where did this come from? And that is the reason why when you come to now analysis, some of these constructs, some of these variables jump off, they disappear because of the wrong or faulty conceptualization. A key takeaway from today is this. Some variables are unidimensional, treat them as such. There's a student who came to me and had various boxes. I think there were 8 boxes, and all the boxes had with dots, dimensions. So I asked the student, where are these coming from? Send me articles that say that this has the following dimensions. And the student couldn't. So I said, you have mentioned that you are using the theory of planned behavior. But when you look at when you dig deeper into the theory of planned behavior, the authors of that theory treat all the variables there as unidimensional variable. So why are you forcing dimensions on the what? On the variables, on the concepts? Why? Then the student responded and said, you see, if I go to present and people don't see these dimensions, they are going to send me back. Stop it. Stop these things of saying, if they don't see this, I'll be sent back. If they don't see the other, I'll be sent back. You must have authority for whatever you put in your work. Have authority. Now look at this particular conceptual framework, okay? Perceived organization support has 3 constructs, and this is there in that theory. It is there, explicitly there. Even that original theory, if you go to the original source document, you will see that source document even has the questionnaire items for those dimensions. Look at psychological capital. The theory specifies those items as the dimensions. It's there. It even goes ahead and provides the questionnaire items, so you don't have to struggle. But now when it comes to job satisfaction, you see students forcing items there. You see, the other 3 boxes have dimensions, but job satisfaction in this particular study is treated as a unidimensional variable. Unidimensional meaning there are no dimensions in there. But when it comes to the questionnaire development, there'll be items anchored on, there'll be dimensions captured using anchors that reflect satisfaction, okay? So that once you determine the mean of those items, you are able to come up with a variable. Once you compute the variable, you're supposed to come out with job satisfaction as a concept. So in a nutshell, what am I saying? Number 1, we're talking about integrating theories. Understand what a theory is. Understand, as you read those theories, look out for the elements of the theory. The what, why, how, under what circumstance. Under what circumstances do the theories hold, okay? as you read about the constructs in the theory, pay attention. Is the theory, are the concepts that are in that theory treated as unidimensional or multidimensional? Do not force things. Do not force things to happen. When you force things to happen, go collect your data, conduct an EFA, go to CFA. You'll tell me what will happen. All the things that you have forced will jump off the line. Okay? Then there are different ways you can integrate theories. So when you come to make your presentation, I don't expect to say, from this theory, I picked this variable. From the other theory, I picked this variable. I expect to hear the relationship portrayed in that theory. The theory of perceived organization support explains, or the main argument is A, B, C, D. For this to happen, X, Y, Z, then tell us how if you're going to use 2 or more theories, give us the approach you're using to integrate the theories. That is why in the recent defenses, you've had questions like, you have a moderator variable, you have a mediator variable. Which theory informs that? What informs you bringing in this? The answer lies in how you integrate your theories. How do you integrate your theories? Okay, so in conclusion, theory integration occurs when the basic elements of 2 or more theories are combined in such a way that novel insights are produced, okay? And those novel insights could involve an application to a new domain or richer understanding of something already in that domain, okay? Then the key element is that the combination produces something that is new, something that is novel, and allows scholars to answer or to better answer one or more important research questions. Bottom line, you want to bring on board something new. What is new? What is your contribution? That is it from me, friends. I would like to stop here, and I hope Michael Okoche is on board. But I would like to pass the mic to my colleague, Julius. Yes, Julius, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Laura, for the exposition this morning. I'm sure we have taken advantage of the recap that you have made this morning today. I think I just see how, now most of us who are here and are students will not have excuses of, mechanically, putting theories together without some logical connection and without, what you have put together helping, either those who are on your defense committee or the dissertation committee asking the question of how can this whole connection of your theories help you provide an explanatory framework for study, and how can we see how can all these theories help you in the way you are going to approach the study? How are you going to make sense of what might come up? All these other questions come up. So thank you very much. And also we learned from you that, when you're working with many theories, there are more than one logical way to do it. But at the end of the day, they have to have something that holds them together. That is important. Something that makes them logically fit in one study. Because at the end of the day, you are doing one study. You are not doing two in one, even though you are using many tools, theoretical tools to help you, attack the problem or address the research question. At the end of the day, you are producing a single study. So it has to have, an explanatory framework that puts all the different ideas of those theories into a single perspective, because at the end of the day, it is one study, rather than it looking like many studies, one saying something else, and it can run off as a different study altogether, then another one, because there was no care in trying to see how do all these things logically connect in order to give me a way forward for actually completing my study. So thank you very much. And I think I can't add any more to what you have provided us in terms of integrating. All I can maybe tell people is that please use some of the references that we keep providing to further your own understanding of some of the issues that have been brought here for our discussion. Someone's, I think we are getting a lot of feedback. Okay, yeah. And also to take it that when you have a good theoretical framework that is, connected very well, then it is going to help you to appreciate how you will produce in the other aspects of your research. Because even when it comes to conducting the real field work, as well as making sense of what has come from the field, all that will be dictated by how well you have really integrated, or how well you have put together the theoretical tools that you are going to use in your study. But if they are not put together, you will struggle, and then you will continue to have questions throughout the journey. So thank you so much. Maybe at this point, if the moderator is not here, I will probably take it upon myself. He's on, okay. So if the moderator is on, is that Professor Michael? Michael, are you on? Okay, I'm not sure whether Michael is on or
okay. I think I'll take charge at some stage if you really want me to come in. If he's not there, but proceed, Julius.
I can proceed, because there was I just wanted to use this opportunity to look at some of, because the number of messages that have been coming in. Maybe it could be the best the way to start the discussions by picking up some of the messages that came in that are arising from the presentation. I think I can start here. The Professor Laura, please take note. Somebody had wanted, I think this is Rahman or Atiku, who had wanted that you share the cover page of that book. I think that is the book on the book you read, the original, the author of the theory that he used. So he wanted, I think it is he wanted the cover page of that book, and where they can buy it from Uganda, possibly. That's just for noting. Then another came in and said, what is the difference between research, theory, and practice? No. What is the difference between research theory, and research philosophy? Okay, that's a good question as well. And but I think that person probably either missed what we covered at the beginning of this series. I remember, I think, making some attempt to explain, and I gave, maybe I'll just go back and share with the platform here again. The best way to see how, you know, philosophy, theories, and methodology issues connect so that we don't get confused is that we can use the research onion. Let me see if I can get back that slide that I used last time, just so I can speak to that question. I think I should be able to share this slide here. And then try to answer that question. Just give me a minute. I want to share the slide that can help answer the question, which this is Agnes, who wants to find out this difference between research theory and research philosophy. Okay, let's see, share screen. Research theory and research philosophy. Now, in terms of understanding research philosophy, especially before we go to the theory, I remember I shared with this platform, you know, a basic conception of, you know, what is involved when we do research. And I used a textbook for research methods for business students by those authors up there. Maybe let me put it in a presentation mode. Okay, I think this will work. I used that to help make the point that when we conduct research, actually, research is like peeling the layers of an onion. And that sometimes what we see on the top layer is covering a lot of other things which have different, you know, different layer you know, thicknesses. You know, the onion, if you peel it, you'll find that it's interesting. There are many things when you peel it. Even when you peel off one layer, you find that the next layer is not the same, and so on. But they all, you know, come together to form, you know, what we see as an onion. Even research has something like that. I mean, it can be conceived of like that, in the sense that there are aspects that represent the way you are thinking about the phenomenon, things that are influencing your view of the phenomenon that you are studying, or the issues of your research that you are trying to comprehend and understand. And those normally are, you know, what here in the onion are called philosophical stances. They guide the way you view things. If you are guided by a philosophical stance here called, for instance, positivism, then it means that you will see things in a particular way in terms of natural laws, and that you can be able to arrive at the right way of understanding a phenomenon by approaching it from a scientific approach and in a very objective manner, and that you who is doing that, you are not what you believe, or your beliefs or your values and so on don't enter in how you are trying to understand a phenomenon. That is positivism. Then you have the others that are a little bit different from that, which say that I think even to understand the world, you are using something about what you believe, your own beliefs that come from your context, your values, and so on. And so much of what we see in the reality is interpreted. So you have interpretivism and so on. So those are the, you know, logics of you know, how to appreciate the world, and they can be understood through those three balls there: epistemology, which is about knowledge. What do we value as knowledge, and what do we take as not knowledge? The question of ontology, which is what is reality, and then axiology, what we understand by what is good and what is bad in life or in the world. So that is the issue of that relates to any kind of philosophy that a researcher will work with, even though it may not be explicit in how the work is reading. There will always be some guiding philosophy working in the background and affecting the way he chooses the rest of the other parts of the research process, like chooses which method to use in the research, whether to use a case study or to carry out a survey, whether to use mixed methods, to use a single method, and so on. That is the distinction I can make in terms of research philosophy. Theory, however, theory is a set of ideas. Really, these are ideas that guide the way to understand a phenomenon. And we said last time also, when we were introducing this conversation, we said that theories can also be distinguished in terms of, you can say, a slide there that we used to try and make a distinction, even in terms of the theories that we work with in our research. There are those that are what are referred to as content level, like many of the theories that Lola was discussing today. They relate to the content, the issue, the area, or the discipline, or the topic that you are talking about. But there are also more broader levels that help us to comprehend how society operates. Those are what we call macro level theories, right? So, and others that help us to link these, to link all that are mid-range, to link how you can arrive at studying a particular phenomenon, but while taking care of the broader issues as well, which are meso level. So, in terms of maybe in one or two sentences, the distinction is that the philosophy is really the philosophy is mainly to do with the worldviews and how those worldviews inform the way you are going to conduct and to move throughout the research. Theory, those ideas, the sets of ideas that you want to use to really understand the phenomenon you are studying. I hope I've kind of tried to help see the distinction, so that it does not look like they are the same, because they are not, and also help make the point that even with the theory itself, the philosophy is operating in how theory actually comes alive, because there are assumptions that are guiding you to make particular theoretical claims or to make some kind of propositions in a theory. So that's how I think we could distinguish between theory and philosophy for is and was, but all of them are important to actually be clear when we are proceeding in our research. So that's the question. Let's see if we can get more answered. The rest, thank you. I want to, there was another question I think I saw. Philosophy. I'm trying to look for another one so that we clear the ones which people just sent in, then we can have some just ask us. What could, okay, there's another question here. Sorry,
can I read
someone
out
was
for you
coming
the
in.
questions?
Yes, you could, but I was already reading one. What could be the justification for using more than one theory in the same study? I think those are the issues that Laura was explaining. in those distinctions she was making. That depending on the phenomenon, depending on the question, depending on the problem that you are trying to approach or to study, it might be that a particular theorem is inadequate, or there are certain limitations in the way you can use it to address that phenomenon. And that when you look at another theoretical perspective, and you see that they have something in common, they provide a better integrated explanation to what you are studying. So that's the justification I think I picked from what Rolla was giving us. Thank you, Professor. Anyway, you can now read the one who was asking, saying you can read them, because I think I'm scrolling and my screen is difficult.
That was even the question I was going to read out for you.
Okay, is there another one?
Let me just scroll through. For those who are sending their thank you messages, I appreciate. Thank you so much. Peace to Shabe is saying, what could be the relationship between theories and literature review?
Okay.
Yes, we've answered that question so many times.
Yeah, we have answered that so many times, but what we need to know is that actually the theoretical framework is so foundational. Like we mentioned in the house analogy, it is the one which will guide you, which would be relevant literature to integrate in your study, which, it will also give you some kind of scope, so that you don't just meander with everything that has ever been written about your work or the topic of your work. So it's that foundation. But go ahead, Rolla, if you have any other thing to add to that answer.
I see a hand up. There's Katerega, but before Katerega before I give him the opportunity, is it he or she?
Yes.
The opportunity, someone is asking about the presentation. I hope you are on the students' WhatsApp group. We usually share all these materials there. If you're not, get in touch with Walugembe. Then there's a question, is it very appropriate to use a theory for every hypothesis?
Is it very appropriate to use a theory for every hypothesis? No, I mean, it really depends, because the way you have
that
also
will not be integration of theories.
Yes. Okay, we are having feedback.
That is not from me. Professor Antai wanted to speak, but let us take the two hands that have been raised, then we give Professor Antai the opportunity. So we'll have Katerega speak, then Tushave Peace. After that, we close we hand the mic to Professor Antai. So Katerega, you have the floor. Ask your question.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is about when I use a theory, for example, theory with models, how can I integrate that? For example, the theory of choice of Glesser with the two models connected to the discipline. I would like to be helped out the integrating the models to the theory. How can I use it to come it very well? For example, I'm dealing with that area. Thank you.
Julius, did you pick the question?
No, I'm not sure I've understood him clearly. The sense I got was whether I think let him repeat, because I don't think I got him clearly what the
Katerega, you're not clear with your question. What exactly is it?
Can I say something?
No.
Okay, we pass the mic to Professor Antai.
Thank you very much, Lola, and thank you very much, Julius, for the great job done. I want to respond to Katelega's question, assuming that I have understood it, and also add my voice to what the two presenters have already said about at what point do you bring in many, well, probably more than one theory to explain. I think for the person who asked the question, if you are listening very attentively, you may have discovered right from the onset, even from the presentations we've had in the past, that when you embark on your PhD, you have an argument that you are advancing. And that's why you start, even when you look at your topic, you have an argument that you are advancing. That argument, the main argument may have specific subcomponents. That's why at the end of the day, you have a conceptual framework. But that conceptual framework or theoretical framework, whatever terminology you choose to use, is helping you to advance your major argument. So you have a number of hypotheses, a number of research questions, etc. So when you examine your main argument or major argument in this case, you discover that that major argument or the phenomenon or that major research question, because you always have that research question, although you may have sub-research questions, if it cannot be adequately addressed by drawing on a particular theory or single theory, then you start thinking about really mixing or probably mixing theories. And that's why now the ideas that have been presented by our colleague Lola, for example, the one phenomenon, seemingly disparate theoretical perspectives, right? Applying one theory to the domain of another theory, streams of research sharing a similar experimental account, etc. coming, right, depending on the perspective you are taking. And I think that's why we always emphasize, go back and read the book which has the theory. Because sometimes you might actually say that you are mixing three theories when the actual sense you are talking about one theory that you fail to understand because all the concepts are there, right? So, and I think that also answers the question which somebody asked, right, from Mr. Kazia, can a researcher use research theories, right, and have a model in the same research paper? Plus another person will ask the question as to whether each hypothesis should have a theory, right, that kind of thing. So I think it's quite important for you to know that sometimes one theory may not be adequate, right? And you want to draw from other disciplines or probably from the same area and bring in other theories. So that's how you do it, right? Now, the other question came from, I forget the name of the person. Unfortunately, the name has disappeared from my screen here. That was Katelega, I think. Katelega. I actually, from the way he asked the question, I got an impression that he's actually asking the question from an economics perspective, right? What happened, for example, in major studies, in most of the studies in economics, the mixing of theories is not encouraged, right? And although now, of course, there is that group of individuals, right, that is driving now economics in another direction, right, where you must actually use theories. But sometimes, especially if you are dealing with the issues of macroeconomics, and then you want to bring in microeconomic theories and so forth, it doesn't really work. So macroeconomic, you have probably one major theory that you are testing in that case. So what happens when the determining, for example, the methodology they are going to use, that methodology is grounded in a theory, right? So somebody will say, well, when I look at my criterion variable, right, I see that it's really a choice, right? You are dealing with the choice models. Therefore, you're going to anchor this study in choice, right? Right, in choice model or choice theory, whatever terminology you choose to use, right? And therefore, right, all the tests that will be done here will be based on that. Now, even from the background that Lola gave, right, and Julius, you see the difference here is in terms of emphasis, right? Whereas maybe this other side, less emphasis is put on the methodology, but if you examine the methodology very well, you discover that you cannot use a methodology that will not support the theories that have been integrated, or the theory. And that's why Lola told you that in that theory of, I don't know whether she cited the reasoned action, right, or it was a different one, but whatever the theory is, she told you that even at the end of the book, you've got questions that you must use in your questionnaire or in data collection, right? Meaning that even the methodology has been already laid out for you, right? But I'm also aware that there are certain theories, right, that will not give you the methodology, certain theories that will not give you some of the measures. So that's where now you must look at the researchers. If somebody developed a theory, right, look at the empirical studies that have been conducted in that area and how those constructs, right, have been conceptualized, how they have been operationalized, how they have been measured, and the various methodologies that have been applied to either study that integration of the two theories or three theories, or that single theory that you are testing. So either way, we are talking about the same thing, but because of the discipline where we come from, we emphasize different things. And that's why most of the studies in the social sciences and psychology, possibly where Julius is coming from and Lola, you'll find the theory articulated, right, in the introduction section of the book, right, or probably background, depending on the terminology you use. Whereas, again, when you pick work from the area of economics, you see that the way they write, right, and the focus, right, the perspectives that they bring out are a little bit different, right? So their presentation will not be exactly the same as the presentation you find in psychology and other disciplines. So some of these things are discipline specific, right? But if you are able to transcend the boundaries of subjects, or what we call disciplines in this case, then you will see that commonality that comes out at the end of the day, right? And again, maybe let me, Julius, if you allow me, without diluting the presentations that you've been making, possibly we shall reach this stage at some time to come, right? I know that some of us enjoy having those diagrams, right, that we call conceptual models, theoretical models, right, or diagram conceptual models. Unfortunately, we don't have mathematical expressions. We don't put them down there, right? Now, I would say, again, it's a difference in terms of presentation, but there's also an anomaly, right? Because at the end of the day, you are going to test a model, right? Now, if you are unable to translate that diagram into mathematical equations, and each mathematical equation, right, is supposed to address a hypothesis, right, or a research question in this case, if you don't bring them out, right, so you give an impression that you simply have a diagram, then at the end of the day, you have results, a table being presented. I mean, that table is possibly coming from nowhere, right? There must be a modeling. And that's why it is important, if you have the conceptual model, right, our theoretical model, then you must provide mathematical models or equations that will address each of those hypotheses or research questions that you have. But let me stop there. I know this will come at a later stage. Over to you, Julius. If I haven't answered the question well, you can add your voice on mine.
No, I don't think there is anything that you've said that is not good or that does not help us move the conversation further. I think it was very elaborate. Thank you, Joseph, for those extra elaborations on the issues and the questions that our colleagues have put. I see that there has again come another question. But I think we just need to continue, furthering our readings around what we have given in terms of theories, because I think the concepts and terminologies that we have used here, or that we are using in this conversation about theory and methods, also at some stage we are going to have to really put them up there for discussion properly, because I think there's that question of, is a theory, is a model the same as a theory? And I think I get the sense that that question of, is the model the same as the theory, coming from when someone, I think, runs some of these statistical analysis and they get some kind of model. Now, can you use that to make some theoretical explanation for what you have been studying? So I think those are issues that we are going to really try and touch base on in terms of terminologies and their distinctions. And also theory versus theories. And then theoretical framework. I think the key thing here for me that we need to really be a bit clear is that whether you're working with more than one theory, even if it is at my macro level, like a broader reach in terms of comprehending society, whether be that as at middle range or micro level theory, and you're using either one or many of such, at the end of the day, a study has one theoretical framework, because all those things are being put together as a theoretical explanation, as the basis for a theoretical explanation from this study. So whether there are many theories that you have put together to really study, or it is one, at the end of the day, that one is used as the theoretical framework for the study. So the theoretical framework for the study needs to be articulately understood, whether made up of many theories coming together in some form, and being seen as something that is going to help scope this work throughout, both in terms of the theoretical aspects of the work, the empirical aspects of the work, as well as what conclusions can be made. It's very important to understand the role of the theoretical framework in that way in a study. Otherwise, the confusions around theories, can you have very many theories and so on, may make us lose the broader understanding of a theoretical framework. Just like we said, that it is like the blueprint for building a house. At the end of the day, there are many blueprints that different studies will work with, meaning that they are building different houses, but it's important to have a clarity on what your blueprint is for the study, because it is what will distinguish that study from any other study that actually is also talking about the same topic. So we have to keep that in mind. Now, models is, I think, a very different kind of concept when we are talking about theoretical framework. It is, to me, more to do with some kind of prototype or that is coming from a study that you can actually use to either apply in an applied form. So I think that's something to keep in mind.
Prof?
Yep. And we out of time.
Yes.
I think we are out of time. And so unless you have anything else, I want to give it back to the admins to do those rituals of closing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So who's closing?
Okay, thank you very much, Julius. Julius, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. And I'll be asking, who is this one, Ricardo? Please mute. Julius, thank you very much. I must really thank you for the great job that you've done. And Professor Lola, thank you very, very, very much. I think the choice has been too good, especially for the last weeks, including this week and the next week. And we really thank you for your generosity in accepting to come and share knowledge freely. I want to encourage students to log in, and not only students, including ourselves. There are lots of things that we pick along the way and try to understand the discipline and research better. For the person who asked the question whether models are the same with theories, I think we need to have a session on this. I know that this question has come up, and of course, one needs to know whether you are talking about conceptual models, theoretical models, you are talking about mathematical models. It is at some stage, right? So there could be an intersection, right? But there could be a difference. And for those who have attended some of my lectures on modeling in economics, probably you can go to my YouTube and get in there. You will see different types of models, right, which do exist. And some of them are mathematical and others are different. And sometimes you can use these two words, models and theories, interchangeably. There could be a difference in them. So you can actually go there and listen. You just have to type Joseph Ntai dash YouTube. You get there. I think it's around presentation 15, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And you'll see models and modeling in economics. And I think they're about in 3 parts, right? You'll be able to pick that. But thank you very much. The other thing I noticed today is that we reached a maximum capacity of 100, meaning that we need to do something to increase the capacity of this platform so that we allow other people to join. Many people missed, right? Having said that, may I ask Dennis Musinguzi, Dr. Dennis Musinguzi, to say a word or two and close the session. Over to you, Dr. Dennis Musinguzi.
Oh, thank you so much, Professor Ntai, and in particular, we wish to thank Professor Chikoma and Professor Laura for over the weeks they have been leading us, and in particular today, where we continue to reflect, more committedly on issues of theories and how theories are integrated in our researches. I remember when I was doing my PhD, I had a supervisor in Uganda Matters University and a supervisor in Canada. When I was in Canada and I told the person, my professor there, the theoretical framework I was using, he said the gentleman who advanced that theory was actually my colleague at one moment. And he talked so many things about him, trying to understand the way I was interpreting his theory. And at one moment we disagreed. I disagreed with the professor on the interpretation of the theory. And then he told me, oh, can you write to him and ask him for further explanation? and I wrote to him, and he was very generous. He responded. He said, first write a critique of not more than 2 pages and ask me the question why you need my guidance. And I did that. And when I did that, he returned about 3 pages of explanation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are critiquing the theory of a living scholar, I have my colleague at Uganda Matters University who also did the same. And the gentleman was, generous enough to respond. So I think sometimes we, especially for the theories and models of the scholars who are still living, I benefited generously from the theorist himself, and gave me some interesting, additional remarks. But it has been a series of very useful sessions, which are anchoring us more. We find challenges sometimes as supervisors where we are also not adequate enough to advise students adequately. So I think it is really, really very, very important that we keep on sharing experiences and enriching ourselves. These sessions are essentially meant for students, but I think as facilitators, we have also picked a lot and improved ourselves along the way. So thanks the presenters, thanks Professor Ntai, and we look forward to much more sharing moving forward. Thank you very much. A word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the gift of today and the gifts of all other days that we've had. We invite you into our lives always to keep us steadfast and seeking for more wisdom and intelligence to do our work better, to serve people better, and to advance our careers. Keep us safe today and always. Amen.
Thank you. Good Sunday.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good Sunday. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.